Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is Dean Tenney coming to you from my off-grid studio, getting our kicks on historic Route 66 with an explication request. This is for Series 24, and it deals with reportable events. 17a-11 are reportable events by the broker-dealer, right? So that's what 17a-11. The actual exam, they give you more context. And fiscal responsibility is not going to be how you miss your mark on the 24. Is this there? Net capital, it certainly is. Is it testable? It certainly is. But it's usually when people miss their mark on the 24, it's somebody who comes from a packaged product background and is unfamiliar in a way they need to be to pass the exam on banking and trading, for example. All right, so let's see. A broker-dealer changes its internal auditor. Is that a reportable event under, say, 17A11? The answer is no. If there was a material inadequacy in the accounting system or our books and records weren't current, that would be a reportable event under 17A11. Changing the internal auditor is not. All right, B. A broker-dealer has minimum net capital of 50,000. So this sounds like a fully disclosed broker-dealer accepting funds and securities for prompt forwarding to the clearing firm. They have 70. So I'm going to times the 50,000 by 120% to see if perhaps they're an early warning. No, 60,000. So 70 is fine. Not a reportable event. A broker-dealer calculates its subordinated liabilities. Now, I don't like this term, subordinated liabilities. I think the test would be a little more forthcoming that that's a subordinated loan. So basically, we have $100,000 in net capital, 80 of which comes from a subordinated loan, and that lender has subordinated their claim in terms of liquidation of the broker-dealer. And so we're counting that as capital. And if the debt to equity exceeds more than 70% for 90 days, that would be a reportable event. The idea here is I finance my broker dealer with my own capital and then a subordinated loan from a subordinated lender. And the idea here is that if I have a subordinated loan and now I'm looking at the net capital and 80% of it belongs to someone else, then I'm not going to be a good steward of the capital. So, we're counting that as our net capital, right? I say, hey, I need a subordinated loan. Um, I've been reviewing Notman materials. They have an updated 24. And I haven't talked to Brian Marks or Dave yet, but I haven't seen yet in my review any discussion of subordinated loans. Maybe it's in the text, but I would be familiar with subordinated loans used for long-term capital of the broker-dealer and the rules around that, as well as temporary subordinated loans that are used to restore net capital as a result of haircuts and firm commitment underwritings. Anyways, that's what this is about C. And the test taker that submitted this explication request was not familiar with the subordinated loan. So it's not make or break. But the idea is that C would be reportable if this was for more than 90 days, right? So if this same question said a broker dealer calculates its subordinated loan or its subordinated liabilities of 80 and has equity of 20 for a period of more than 90 days, then it is a reportable event. All right, let's look at choice D. D says a broker dealer with net capital of 250. So this is a clearing broker dealer, and they have aggregateness of 3.1. So a couple of things I could do here. I could take the 3,000,001, and divide by 12 to see if that's a problem. But I already know that that's already a problem because they have net capital of 250. And remember, you're going to be an early warning if you're within 120% of your minimum. And so the answer here is choice D. So again, the test taker who submitted this was not familiar with a subordinated loan, and I would review that. I would know, for example, temporary subordinate loans can only be used in underwritings. You can have three of them in firm commitment underwritings in a 12-month period. The other version of a subordinated loan is part of long-term capital of the broker-dealer. The rule doesn't apply, by the way, if the subordinated loan is from an insider of the firm, right? Because then the idea is I'd still be a good steward of that capital. One of my favorite broker dealers of all time was called Llama Securities in Bentonville, Arkansas, and the general securities principal was Alice Walton. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if a large part of the net capital of Llama Securities was a subordinated loan from Alice Walton to Llama Securities in the form of either cash or a secured demand note agreement, which would have been, Walmart stock, perhaps. I'm making this scenario up, but I wouldn't be surprised. The point is, if that was the case, this rule would not apply. That whether it was, 90% of the capital is a subordinated loan from the general securities principle, then the rule doesn't apply. All right. Well, I hope you found that helpful. Remember, inch by inch, your 24 is a cinch. Yard by yard, your 24 is hard. If you have any explication requests, you can send them to explicationrequest@guruexamprep.com.